Good morning, everyone. It is 6 a.m. 6 in the morning. I can't sleep. I'm tossing and turning. Um, I just can't sleep, so I figured why not? Let's get up. Let's make the prediction video, because clearly sleeping ain't working. Um, but I guess I'm up now for the day. I'm gonna just get up, go take a shower after this, eat some breakfast, and just get ready for the day. Um, but let's go ahead and do this first. Um, Charles Radke versus Francisco. First of all, this is a really good card. This is a really good card, and I just want to point out that I think Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taylor getting moved to the Hamzat Strickland card was a good move because that card needed some help. This card is strong enough on its own. It doesn't need a second title fight. This is a great card. So let's get down to it. Uh, Charles Radke versus Francisco Prada. You got to go Charles Radke here. He's just better. Better hands and better grappling. Charles Radke just has this one in the bag. I'm going to actually go Charles Radke TKO finish from ground and pound after dropping Francisco Prada. Um, yeah, Charles Radke KO. He is very slick on the feet. He's got some good grappling that he showed in his last fight. I think he controlled the dude for like 20, or no, not 20 minutes because the fight was only 15. Like 12, 13 minutes or something like that. Domination. So his grappling is pretty good. And Francisco Prada just really hasn't shown much for me to believe that he's got that much to his game. So I'm going Charles Radke here, folks. Charles Radke, folks. Say it again, Radke. Say it again. Say it again. Okay, moving on. Kelvin Gastelum versus Vicente Luque. Can you pull up? It's not pulling it up. Pull up the card, man. No, not that one. The one below it. No. Gastelum. Okay. Gastelum versus Vicente Luque won't expand. So I guess we'll just do it like this. I'll just kind of move my camera a little bit so you can kind of see it. Okay. Kelvin Gastelum versus Vicente Luque. I'm gonna be on a Vicente Luque island here. I'm a massive Vicente Luque fan. I think he's a very fun fighter. One of the funnest fighters I've ever had the pleasure of watching. He's been my favorite welterweight since he beat Tyron Woodley. And he's just a very fun fighter. Very fun to watch. Cool as hell. Cool personality. Cool fight style. And I know I'm on an island here with Luque because I know a lot of people are picking Kelvin Gastelum. But I'm going to tell you why I'm picking Luque. And no, it's not bias. Kelvin Gastelum could go out there and sleep Vicente Luque. Okay, obviously we know about Vicente Luque's brain injury and how he hasn't been able to really take shots the same since, and he has been losing a lot since. I think he only has 2 wins since RDA and Thimba Garimbo. But I have like a personal thing about not really wanting to pick undisciplined fighters. Because I think discipline can bring you further than skill will. You can be as good as you want to be, but if you're not disciplined or dedicated to the game, somebody that is way more dedicated but maybe not as good as you could beat you. And one thing I can trust here about Vicente Luque is that he's dedicated to the game. He's going to make the weight today. He's going to shut up. He's going to put his all towards it. Kelvin Gastelum might miss weight because he eats. He doesn't care. And he has shown that he doesn't really care about whether he wins or loses his whole career. Kelvin Gastelum simply doesn't care. Vicente Luque cares about winning. And he cares to go to the gym every day. He cares to put the work in, to eat right, eat clean, fast. He cares to get on that scale and make the weight. And I do think that shit like that matters in the cage. Because that also shows who's probably more willing to dig deep if they need to. Kelvin Gastelum has a great chin. Never been KO'd. But if he's behind in a fight, he's okay with that. Kelvin Gastelum's okay with being behind in a fight. And he'll continue to not change he'll continue not change up his game plan or do this, do that. He'll happily stay behind and just get outpointed for a loss. Vicente Luque, when he's losing, he will throw everything out the window. He will crash in. He will try to get that win, get that finish. So, if anything, I think I can trust Vicente Luque to bank rounds just by being more active and doing more and looking like he cares. Whereas Kelvin Gastelum is probably just going to sit back and collect his paycheck and dash, man, without really doing too much. That's how I feel about Kelvin Gastelum, man. But Kelvin Gastelum does have power in his hands, and if he goes out there and puts some mustard on Vicente Luque, maybe Luque will go out cold. Because his chin is wired differently ever since the injury, you know? His brain will probably just shut off at some power shots. We'll see. I'm hoping not, man, because I love Vicente Luque, and it would be so sad to watch him go out again. But I'm going to take Vicente Luque here. I think a motivated Kelvin Gastelum, like if Kelvin Gastelum had been someone over the course of his career that we can trust to come in, make the weight, and be dedicated, he would probably beat Vicente Luque here. But I'm just not. I can't trust in that. Trust is the big thing here. So I'm going with Vicente Luque by decision. Moving on to Chris Padilla versus Markel Medeiros. Shout out Chris Padilla. He follows me. That's my boy. Me and Chris Padilla go way back. We go way back. No, but I'm taking Chris Padilla here by TKO. Chris Padilla is the lightweight nobody's talking about. He's very good. He's coming off of a TKO finish over Ismael Bonfim, who I think would also probably beat Markel Medeiros. Chris Padilla also had a really good performance over Jai Herbert. Some other good performances. Undefeated in the UFC. He's really coming into his own skill set, and he's really coming into who he is as a fighter, and he's getting really good. Markel Medeiros isn't bad, but he's not anything too crazy. I mean, he beat Mark Choinsky. Mark Choinsky should have been like a layup finish, didn't get it. His debut also should have been a layup finish, didn't get it. Chris Padilla has the finishing potential here. Markel Medeiros is good, but there's just nothing special about him, nothing crazy about him. And his finishing ability is just simply not there. Whereas Chris Padilla, even if you don't get a finish, because of his finishing ability, you guys know how I feel about this. Because of his finishing ability, he's more likely to bank rounds off damage, even if he doesn't get a finish. But he's got nasty leg kicks. Destroyed Ismael Bonfim's legs. He's got some nasty hands. His elbows are nasty. I think, didn't he cut open Jai Herbert with a nasty step-in elbow or something like that? I believe he did. He's got some really nasty tools. I just think he's a bit more dangerous than Markel Medeiros. He does a lot of damage, Chris Padilla, and Markel Medeiros really doesn't. Markel Medeiros will kind of point you, and I don't think that. And Chris Padilla's got some very underrated grappling as well. His takedown entries are good. His single legs are good. He mixes in the grappling and the wrestling well, or the grappling and the striking well. I just think he's too nasty for Markel Medeiros, man. His elbows, his leg kicks. I think he's going to chew Markel's legs up crazy. And by round 3, Markel Medeiros won't be able to walk anymore. So I'm going to actually go with a ground and pound TKO finish here by Chris Padilla. Maybe gets a knockdown with the leg kick in round 3, hops on top, and then bludgeons him for like a minute and a half before the ref stops it. I think Chris Padilla is really good, man. And, yeah. I'm going to go Chris Padilla by TKO here. I do think Chris Padilla is really good. I'm hoping to see another good performance here. I think Ismael Bonfim would also beat Markel Medeiros. I already brought that up, but I just feel like that's a really good performance. It's Chris Padilla's best performance over Ismael Bonfim. Bonfim isn't anything too crazy, but he is very crazy and powerful, and I think Ismael Bonfim presents a much bigger challenge to Chris Padilla than Markel Medeiros, and he already beat Ismael Bonfim, so I don't really see too much here what Markel Medeiros could do. So I'm gonna go with Chris Padilla. I gotta go take a shower. Yeah, I'm about to sneeze. There you go. I bit my tongue a little bit on that one. That would hurt. Moving on. Tatiana Suarez versus Lupi Godinez. I'm taking Tatiana Suarez here. Tatiana Suarez, better grappling. Better grappling, and I think it's going to work. I don't really have too much to say about this. I think the fight is just going to go like this. I think Tatiana's going to get the takedowns, and Lupi won't be able to get up from him. Tatiana Suarez is probably going to have like 13 minutes of ground control time because she's not really that good at finishing. She might get a submission, but I don't know. I'm gonna say that Lupi Godinez is definitely better on the feet. Tatiana Suarez is absolutely lost on the feet. A fish out of water. You know? A Tyrannosaurus Rex in Antarctica, you know? That's Tatiana Suarez on the feet. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what she's doing. But Lupi Godinez, I don't think her grappling is anywhere near the level of Tatiana Suarez, so I think the takedowns are gonna come easy, and I think that it'll be easy to keep Lupi down as well. People forget, man, Tatiana Suarez isn't she like an Olympian, right? Tatiana Suarez decision though, a very boring decision. You can go use the restroom during this fight. You can probably go make your food, go do whatever, go check on your kids, whatever. Moving on. Mateusz Gamrot versus Esteban Ribovics. I'm going Mateusz Gamrot here. Esteban Ribovics just doesn't have the ability on the feet to get Mateusz Gamrot out of there. Mateusz Gamrot gets dropped a lot. You know, RDA, Jalen Turner, you know, Dan Hooker, you know, these guys. But Esteban Ribovics doesn't have power in his hands. He's quite pillow-fisted, you know. But he can fight at a very high output, which could overwrite Mateusz Gamrot's system. But I'm thinking here that this is just going to be a classic Mateusz Gamrot 30-20, 29-28 decision. I do think Esteban Ribovics will probably drop Mateusz Gamrot in the first round because he's easy to drop. But he's not gonna KO Mateusz Gamrot, and I think that's how he has to beat him. I don't think he can beat him by decision because Mateusz Gamrot's chain wrestling is too damn good. I mean, the previous guys that failed to beat Mateusz Gamrot, Jalen Turner, you know, these guys are better than Esteban Ribovics. Like, Ludovic Klein. Ludovic Klein is a better fighter than Esteban Ribovics in every sense of MMA. Ludovic Klein is a better striker than Ribovics. He's a better grappler than Ribovics. And Mateusz Gamrot dominated him. He's got more power than Esteban, too. Ludovic Klein. So, unless he has like a Terrence McKinney-esque performance where he just head kicks him out cold 30 seconds in, I don't think he can beat Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot's going to chain wrestle the shit out of him. It's going to be bad. It's going to be quite boring. You know, typical 29-28 Mateusz Gamrot. It's round 2 and 3. Where he's just taking Esteban down time and time again. Where Esteban's able to get up, but Mateusz just chains it together and mat returns, and he's gonna put in a grappling clinic rounds 2 and 3. But round 1, I do think Esteban's gonna win it. Maybe a drop on Mateusz Gamrot or something. Something light though, like a flash knockdown where it's like he did get dropped, but there wasn't much damage on it. Kind of knocked down. So Esteban's quick. He's got some hands, some kicks, but I mean, even his win against Daniel Zellhuber is aging very bad. I mean, Daniel Zellhuber is awful, and he almost lost that fight. He almost lost that fight to Daniel Zellhuber. So I just don't, and I'm not impressed by his last performance over oh man, his name, he's right there. The name's right there. That Brazilian guy, Elvis Brenner. I'm not impressed by that. It was a fun fight, but in terms of how good he is, I'm not impressed by that fight. But it was fun, though. But yeah, Mateusz Gamrot, typical 29-28 chain wrestling clinic. You know how it is with Mateusz Gamrot. Moving on, Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown. I'm going Kevin Holland. I'm going Kevin Holland by submission. I see a lot of people picking Randy Brown here. And my only question to them is, who has really outstruck Kevin Holland? Right? Mike Mallet, Jack Della Maddalena, Stephen Thompson, Michael Venom Page. All these guys cleanly beat Randy Brown. Jack Della Maddalena finished him and submitted him in the first round. You know? Kevin Holland went 3 rounds to a split decision with him. Although I don't think a split was correct. I think it was very clearly Jack Della. But it was still a better performance against Jack than Randy put on. You know? Randy Brown just got dominated on the feet and knocked out cold by a grappler. You know? Not Ishmael Bonfim. Gabriel Bonfim. Dominated on the striking. And knocked him out cold in round 2 with a knee up the middle. I mean, there's not much to go off here for Randy Brown. Lost to Brian Battle. I do think he beat Brian Battle, to be fair, but I just think Randy Brown lacks the performances, man. Kevin Holland might be done in his career because the D-Rod performance was quite shit, and I think Randy Brown would sleep D-Rod. So maybe there's something there, but I just think over the course of their careers, Kevin Holland has been a bit more impressive, especially with his stand-up. A lot of Kevin Holland, he's got 15 losses. It's a lot of losses, but most of those losses, I'm pretty sure, are submissions or like grappling fights. And Randy Brown can't grapple. Kevin Holland's a better grappler than Randy Brown. So this is going to be a striking battle. And Kevin Holland's just a better striker. You know? I think Kevin Holland's got the reach advantage. I believe. Let me check real quick. My camera's in the way. Yeah, he's got a fucking 3-inch reach advantage. Same height. I just think Kevin Holland's a bit of a better striker, man. He's a bit cleaner. You know, toe to toe with Wonder Boy, Jack Della. Like these are the best strikers in the division. So, yeah, I gotta go. I think Kevin Holland is gonna be up for most of the fight, and I think Randy Brown's gonna kind of realize, I can't outstrike this guy. It's round 3. Let me try something else. Let me go for a takedown. Boop. Gets caught in a darce. That's how I think it's going to go. Honestly, kind of similar to the Vicente Luque submission. But in round 3 is how I see this going. This finish. So, Kevin Holland, round 3 submission, darce choke. That's my pick. I just think he's better than Randy Brown as an MMA fighter. More well-rounded. Randy Brown's got some nasty power on the feet, but he's just too easy to hit, I think. So, yeah. Kevin Holland submission round 3. Randy Brown's good, though. Moving on. Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. I'm going to go Aaron Pico. I don't think, at this point in Patricio Pitbull's career, I think he's kind of shitty. I think he's kind of shitty. Getting dropped by the boxing of Yair Rodriguez is ridiculous to me. Yair's a good striker, but specifically his boxing has always been pretty weak, and he doesn't have hand power, never has, so almost got finished by the boxing of Yair is just kind of shit to me. Aaron Pico has a glass chin. However, I just think his skill set is better than Pitbull's. I think his boxing is definitely better than Pitbull's. I think his wrestling is better than Pitbull's. You know, and he's out here training with Hamzat Chimaev and these guys, and I'm willing to bet that they lit a fire under his ass, and he's ready to go, and he's locked in, and I guess Pitbull could put Aaron Pico out cold because of his glass chin, but I'm just, when you look at these fighters on paper and just how they are skillfully, Aaron Pico is a better fighter in terms of skill than Patricio Pitbull, and I'm going to trust in that. I don't really rate the power too much of Patricio Pitbull or the finishing ability on the feet, especially nowadays. So, And Aaron Pico does have slick boxing, and he is really good at using his striking and with getting to the takedowns. And his wrestling is better than Pitbull's, so it is what it is. I'm going Aaron Pico by ground and pound TKO in round 2. I think it's gonna be a decent round 1. Aaron Pico wins it off damage. Round 2, Aaron Pico's gonna drop Pitbull, get on top, and then ground and pound him for a TKO finish. That's what I'm going with. Aaron Pico. Because Patricio Pitbull, not it. Not it, bro. He's not it. Moving on. Cub Swanson versus Nate Landwehr. I'm going with Cub Swanson by TKO, folks. Cub Swanson by TKO. He's just better. I don't care that he's fucking 45. He's just better. His hands are better. His speed is better. Still, he's faster than Nate Landwehr, Nate Landwehr's not good. He's not UFC level. He can't really strike that well. He's got some power, but he can't really strike that well. I think his grappling is overrated as well. I mean, I don't really see him going out there and grappling Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson's fought much better grapplers, and he's beat them. So, I don't know, man. I mean, Cub Swanson's had a bit of a... if Nate Landwehr had a thing for leg kicks, maybe I could see him go, because Cub Swanson's pretty susceptible to leg kicks, but he doesn't. Nate Landwehr's gonna go out there and he's gonna swing crazy, and he's just gonna be too predictable, and Cub Swanson's gonna be too quick. He's gonna get out of the way of the shots and land his little boxing. I see this going somewhat similar to the Darren Elkins performance, where Cub Swanson's just too good, I like Nate Landwehr as a fighter, but I don't like his skill set, man. I just think he's so beatable, I don't think there's that many guys that don't beat Nate Landwehr. Nate DeTrain is a cool guy, though, man. But Cub Swanson's hands, I don't like how close the Billy Quarantino fight was up until the KO, though, for Cub Swanson. Because I think Billy Quarantino was one of the lowest level UFC fighters we've ever seen. So there's something there that could probably be exposed by Nate Landwehr. If you bring Cub Swanson into a war where you're both throwing, then Nate Landwehr probably wins that. But I'm gonna trust Cub Swanson to be quick and smart and poppy with his jab and his boxing. So I'm gonna go Cub Swanson KO round 2. Moving on to Dominic plus Nate Landwehr at one point in his career. One thing he had was durability. That's kind of gone out the window. He's on like a 2-fight KO loss streak. Just got KO'd in the second round by Morgan Charrier, which I was actually there for live in the crowd in Nashville. So that was cool. Moving on to Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. I'm going Johnny Walker, folks. The battle of the chins. One of these men's chins will finally have to crack. Will finally have to go. I think Dominic Reyes definitely has better hands. Dominic Reyes is a sniper, so he could probably snipe Johnny Walker. But I think Johnny Walker is very fast, much quicker than Reyes. And one of these guys' chins are giving up. Let's be real. 2 power punchers with shit chins, But I think Johnny Walker is much quicker. And if this fight is a case of who gets to the chin quicker, who gets to the punch quicker, it's going to be Johnny Walker. He's much faster. He throws a lot of shots down the pipe so fast. And Dominic Reyes is the one that got KO'd bad in his last fight. Not Johnny Walker. He's coming off of a win over Zhang Minyang. And if I can be honest with you guys, Johnny Walker looked quite improved in that fight, I thought. Like his defense, he didn't get hit very much by Zhang Minyang. He looked quite improved, I thought, especially in the defense. And I was actually impressed by how he looked. The leg kicks were snappy. The head movement was pretty decent. And Dominic Reyes in his last fight against Ulberg, granted it was Ulberg, and Ulberg would beat Johnny Walker. But Dominic Reyes was like, what is he doing? He's like wading in with his hands down, not even attempting a punch. Funky looking steps into the pocket with his hands down, not even like attempting a shot. I'm sitting here thinking, do you want to lose to Carlos Ulberg? What are we doing here, Reyes? You know, this is crazy. You know, I think Johnny Walker is going to be a bit more locked in here as well. I think I'm gonna be honest here. This might be a hot take, but I think Johnny Walker can take a bit more of a beating than Dominic Reyes. I think he's just a tad bit more durable. And if it comes to the durability test of each of them, I think Johnny Walker can withstand a bit more. So I think it's going to be a wild fight. First round TKO for either, but I'm going to go for Johnny Walker. Round 1 TKO. Dominic Reyes wades in with his hands down by his waist. Gets clipped coming in by a shot down the pipe. Gets put out cold by Johnny Walker. That's what I'm taking. So, Johnny Walker, you know, by TKO, cold KO, round 1. Curtis Blades versus Josh Hockett. I'm going to go with Curtis Blades here. Josh Hockett is tiny. He's tiny, man. He's like 6 foot at heavyweight, 135 pounds. He's tiny. He is quite good, I do think, though. I do think he's a good fighter, and he's got great cardio for heavyweight. So maybe if he weaponizes his cardio, he can go all the way. But I just think he's too small. I think, Curtis Blades is going to have like 30, 40 pounds on him in there. Experienced wrestler. I think is a nightmare for Josh Hockett. Curtis Blades is massive. Massive. Big boy. He is strong as well. And his wrestling is really good. I just think he's going to be able to... I think Curtis Blades' wrestling is probably better just as a skill alone. And then you're going to add on his 30, 40 pounds of, weight and his strength he's going to have in there, his size. He's going to bully Josh Hockett around in there, I think. I think the takedowns are going to come easy. He's going to throw Hockett around like a little brother. And I just think, I think he's going to just be too big, too strong. Josh Hockett's going to get thrown around. There's going to be a lot of control time for Curtis Blades. And, we'll see Josh Hockett lose, man, for the first time in his career. He's just so small, man. He's like a middleweight-sized man at heavyweight. So, that's really all I got to say, man. And Curtis Blades has got some power in his hands as well. Dude, Curtis Blades has a deceptively good, snappy jab, man. That jab's going to be there on the short ass of Josh Hockett, and the takedowns will come, and it's just going to be that. It's going to be looking like the Jairzinho Rosenstruck fight, with maybe a bit more resistance from Josh Hockett, but yeah. 30-27 Curtis Blades, honestly. No, 29-28. Josh Hockett's going to win round 1. 29-28 Curtis Blades. Being too big, strong. Moving on. Azamat Murzakanov versus Paulo Costa. I'm licking my lips at this underdog. I'm going with Paulo Costa, folks. Paulo Costa Masterclass is what I'm going with. Paulo Costa is better. He's faster. Better. Faster. I think he's going to be bigger in there. Azamat Murzakanov is a short, fat fuck. 16-0 with like 13 KOs. That's impressive. He is good. But so many of his fights to me have asterisks. You know, Alexander Rakic threw himself into that jab and then laid down. That's what the fight was. It was a good jab, but realistically, Alexander Rakic threw himself into the jab and then laid down. Okay? Asmat Mirzakhanov loses a lot of rounds. He was getting his ass handed to him. I'm gonna use this fight as a big thing here, because this fight means a lot to me in this prediction. I'm gonna bring this fight up. I'm gonna bring it up on my phone real quick because there's something I want to talk about here with this fight, and I'm gonna talk about it first. Asmat Mirzakhanov's debut. He fought Tafon Njiqui. Okay. Tafon Njiqui he won the first 2 rounds, okay? He was putting mustard on Asmat Mirzakhanov. He was beating the shit out of him. And he landed total 50 strikes on Asmat Mirzakhanov. I'm telling you right now, 30 of those 50 strikes were body kicks. He was destroying Asmat's body. Asmat wasn't liking it. And congrats to him. He got the knee finish around 3, the knee KO. You didn't look good, bud. Okay, Paulo Costa's body kicks are one of his best weapons. He does them better than Tafon. Stronger than Tafon. Better than Tafon, you know? Asmat Mirzakhanov versus Devin Clark. Devin Clark putting hands on him for a little bit there. You know? Dustin Jacoby was looking real good. You know? Even for Alonzo Menifield. Look, he beat the shit out of Alonzo Menifield, right? So, but listen to what I'm going to say here. Out of all of Alonzo Menifield's losses, okay? This against Asmat Mirzakhanov up into the KO was was one of Alonzo Menifield's best losing performances in his career. Asmat just has a knack for giving up rounds, and he has a knack for getting touched, I think, and kind of being down. And Paulo Costa, he has that too, don't get me wrong. Paulo Costa can be down on the scorecards to a lot of people. I get that. He can lose a lot of fights. He's lost 4 times in the UFC. However, when Paulo Costa, Asmat Mirzakhanov hasn't really showed that he can get on the gas early and stay on the gas. If Paulo Costa gets off early and he's having a good first round, he will typically carry that throughout the fight. Whereas if you allow Costa to put his pressure, a lot of people put pressure on Asmat Mirzakhanov. And if you will allow Paulo Costa to put pressure on you, he typically does carry that throughout the entire fight, and he will back you up. Leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks, overhands, straight rights, and he has a diverse selection of attacks on the feet. Whereas Asmat Mirzakhanov, look at that body. His body is so susceptible to body kicks, man. I can't get that out of my head. Paulo Costa's body kicks are going to be so nasty, man. Paulo Costa's strength of schedule was also better than Asmat's. I mean, come on. Sean Strickland, Robert Whittaker, you know? Like, these guys are better than Asmat Mirzakhanov's opponents, you know? Sean Strickland, Robert Whittaker, Adesanya, God, even the Vittori loss is kind of unexplainable, but, you know, Roman Kopylov, like, everyone I just named are better fighters than, you know, Alonzo Menifield, Brenton Habero, you know, Dustin Jacoby, you know? So, I just think that Paulo Costa's had a bit harder of a career, fighting better guys, and, you know, and I see a lot of people saying, oh, Asmat Mirzakhanov beat Roman Kopylov and Ankalaev. He beat him in Sambo. This is MMA. This is not Sambo. If you guys know about Paulo Costa, one of Paulo Costa's best traits in his entire career, his best attributes is his defensive grappling. You cannot grapple this man. That's one of the reasons why, hot take incoming, this is one of the reasons why I've always kind of liked Paulo Costa in comparative to other middleweights against Khamzat Chimaev. Because you really don't grapple Paulo Costa. He's too strong. His base is he's so strong, you know? But even on the striking, I think people act like Paulo Costa's got pillow hands, and I get it. Paulo Costa's not Alex Pereira on the feet. But he has more KOs than anything, more TKOs. He is a bit of a volume guy, but when Paulo Costa really sits down, he can generate some power. And at 205, I think we might see that a bit more here. I think Paulo Costa is honestly going to put on a masterclass. I could be so wrong here. But I think Paulo Costa is fucking good, man. He's fucking good. I'm getting lightheaded with how I'm getting into this rant. But I just think Paulo Costa's better, man. And I feel like it's justifiable for me to say this. Even if he ends up going to lose this fight. At the moment I'm making this take right now, I think it's a reasonable take to have. Paulo Costa, I think this is how I think the fight's gonna go. I think Costa's gonna win all 3 rounds. But I think he's gonna get a knockout though. This could age so badly, but let me give you my thinking for this fight. Right, Paulo Costa is gonna chop low, chop his legs, and kick his body. I think he's gonna stick to those, the body and the legs, for round 1. Nasty body kicks, clearly doing some damage on Azamat. Leg kicks are hurting him too. Round 2, Azamat has a better round. He's landing some stinging shots on Costa, but Costa's landing back. Azamat is landing some shots where it usually would put out his other opponents. I think Azamat is going to crack Paulo Costa with some shots that he thinks should KO Paulo Costa, and it doesn't. Paulo's still standing. And I think it's going to kind of break Azamat. I think the toughness and the durability of Paulo Costa is going to break Azamat. I think he's going to go, man, I've hit this guy with my best shots, and he's still standing. I'm not used to this. You know? I'm not used to this. This is different to me. And he's going to start to cower. And he's going to start to get landed on more. Paulo Costa's landing more leg kicks now, more body kicks, more punches to the face, you know? Azamat's going to break. Round 3, Azamat's broken. He's tired. Azamat gasses out too, let's not forget. Azamat Murzakanov gasses out. Paulo Costa's got better cardio. 5 rounds of Sean Strickland, you know? Azamat has shit cardio. He's a fat man, you know? Round 3, he's going to be broken and tired and gassed. Costa's going to keep the leg kicks coming, keep the body kicks coming. High output for Costa, you know? And then he's going to land a head kick midway throughout round 3 that puts Azamat Murzakanov out cold. I'm going a head kick KO for Paulo Costa, round 3. Azamat's going to realize that the toughness and durability... Dude, other than the Israel Adesanya fight, durability has been one of Paulo Costa's biggest attributes. I don't see him... Even a lot of Azamat pickers are not picking by KO. They're picking by decision. Because they know the durability of Costa is great. And Azamat's not as clean as Adesanya. And he's not going to chew the legs up of Paulo Costa. You know? I really like this matchup for Paulo Costa, man. If I'm tripping, I'm tripping. But I think Paulo Costa's going to put on a masterclass here. After this, we're all going to be saying, where the fuck has this Paulo Costa been? Where has he been? You know? So, I get that, man. Paulo Costa by KO. Round 3. I really do believe in Paulo Costa, man. I think he's had a rough going of things recently. But, man. Not putting out Robert Whittaker was kind of a bad sign, though. But we're not going to dwell on it. Paulo Costa, round 3 decision. I gave my take, man. Azamat Murzakanov, good power, but he loses a lot of minutes, and his cardio is shit. Paulo Costa masterclass in round 3 KO. We're going to move on to Yuri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. Guys, I'm picking Yuri Prochazka, which is crazy because if you guys don't know this, on Twitter, we would love it if you guys would join in, but on Twitter, every Thursday on Twitter at around 9:30 to 10, we have a Twitter space called Best Bets. It's me and the boys going over the entire card from stop to finish, early prelim to the main event, talking about every fight, everyone giving their takes and predictions, and at the end we give our best bet, which is our most confident pick of the night. And you can find that Twitter space under my Twitter, Horror MMA, or you can go to Finn's Twitter, Finn's the _ I think it is, if you're interested in joining in on that. It's a fun time. It's the boys. We have fun. We chop it up. I took, in that space, which happened last night, I took Carlos Ulberg. And I have been thinking for the past 2 weeks that Carlos Ulberg is going to win. Because I thought that Carlos Ulberg is, too good at sticking and moving, right? Too good at sticking and moving. His jab, his leg. I think this is typically a nightmare matchup for Yuri Prochazka. Leg kicks. Yuri is very susceptible to leg kicks. Leg kicks destroy him, right? Damn, I only have like 10 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna hurry this up a bit. I have somewhere to go. I've been yapping. Carlos Ulberg is a nightmare matchup. He has nasty leg kicks, which Yuri Prochazka is weak to. He's very good at sticking and moving, right? Jabs on the outside. He's very good, man. But Yuri Prochazka, the reason I'm picking Yuri Prochazka is one, last night I rewatched Carlos Ulberg versus. I rewatched his only loss, Carlos Ulberg versus Kennedy Nzechukwu, and yes, he was whooping Kennedy Nzechukwu very easily, but Kennedy is kind of chinny and very easy to beat. Carlos Ulberg almost finished him, but that's the issue. He almost finished him, and he didn't. And once Carlos Ulberg kind of realized in that fight, oh, wait a second, he isn't finished, and he's coming back, he kind of broke. And he was just a broken man in front of Kennedy Nzechukwu, who then slept him. That's what Yuri does, man. He breaks people. If Kennedy Nzechukwu is ever breaking you, even if it's in your debut, if Kennedy Nzechukwu is ever breaking you with his toughness, I got bad news for you going up against Yuri Prochazka. I generally don't switch up my pick like this on a dime, but I am here. I was going with Yuri Prochazka originally when the fight was first announced for the same reasons. But then I was like, I really thought about it. I'm like, Carlos Ulberg is good though, snappy on the outside, leg kicks, everything that Yuri Prochazka hates in a fighter is what Carlos Ulberg is. Because I think Yuri's going to be fighting with a different mentality as well. He's having his kid next week, his first child. Sometimes you have something like that that's really just pushing you over the edge. I think Yuri Prochazka is going to get him out of there. I think Carlos Ulberg is going to beat the shit out of Yuri Prochazka for like 3 rounds. And then once Carlos Ulberg realizes I have put everything into this performance, Yuri's still standing. He's still coming forward with his goofy ass. I can't put him away. I think he's gonna break again. As well as in the space last night after I picked Carlos Ulberg, a lot of the Yuri Prochazka pickers were making some really good points. And one thing about me is I am very open to other opinions in my picks. I'm very open to other opinions. I don't pick a guy and then say I'm picking this guy and I'm not changing. That's not me, man. If I pick somebody and then somebody else gives me a great point that I didn't consider, and I go, that's a very good point, I am very likely to change my pick. Yuri Prochazka pickers were making great points, and then I rewatched Carlos Ulberg's loss, and I'm thinking, what would Yuri do? What would Yuri do to that, you know? I can't pick Ulberg, man. I really did try. Which is crazy, and you know I tried because I'm a big, massive Yuri Prochazka fan. I'm not even a fan of Carlos Ulberg. I'm a massive Yuri Prochazka fan, and I've wanted to pick him. I've tried to pick him. But for a while, me going with Carlos Ulberg just shows that I wasn't biased here. But Yuri Prochazka, I can't not pick him here. If you're not Alex Pereira, you ain't beating him, little bro. Can we just say that? You ain't beating him, you know? So I'm gonna say that Carlos Ulberg wins the first 3 rounds, and then at the end of round 3, we kind of see Carlos Ulberg breaking when he realizes I can't put him out, and Yuri Prochazka's putting. One thing about Yuri Prochazka though that I think is very underrated is he actually is improving. If you look at him his first few fights to now, he actually has quite improved. How he looked against Jamal Hill was actually pretty decent. His defense looked good. And even against Khalil Rountree, let me tell you about. He was down 2 rounds against Khalil Rountree, I get it. But let me tell you one thing about the Khalil Rountree fight that I think is very underrated about Yuri Prochazka's game. When Yuri Prochazka's down and he knows he's down, Yuri Prochazka is incredible at attacking the body. A lot of people are like, oh, Khalil only lost because he gassed down around 3. Why the fuck do you think he gassed out? Yuri Prochazka was slamming body shots into Khalil Rountree, slamming knees into his midsection, uppercuts to his body, hooks to his body, with incredible pressure. He was the one that made Khalil gas, you know? I think he's going to be slamming body shots into Carlos Ulberg. And if you look at Carlos Ulberg, he's looking a bit flabby. He's looking a bit flabby than he ever had before. He used to be chiseled, you know, clean 6-pack, very defined. He's looking a bit flabby now on this fight camp, and that is another reason I'm going against him, even though I don't think that means too much a lot of times. He's looking a bit flabby out there these days, and Yuri Prochazka's in the best shape of his career. Look at Yuri there, chiseled, great shape. I don't want to sound gay, but I mean, I just feel like the stars are aligning here for Yuri Prochazka to get a win. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Yuri Prochazka here, folks. I think I've said just about as all I needed to say here. Carlos Ulberg is better. He's going to be winning, and he's going to be looking amazing early. But at some point in the fight, whether it's early or whether it's late, he's going to realize nothing I'm doing is working. He's starting to scare me now because I've put everything into this performance, and he's coming forward. He's coming forward with better pressure each round despite how well I'm doing, and he's going to cower into the corner and get TKO'd by Yuri Prochazka. And the body shots are going to take a toll. He's going to invest in that body. And late, Ulberg's just going to, hunch over. You know? That's going to do it for this video. 50 minutes I just put in. So, yeah, thank you guys for sticking around. If you did, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm going to schedule this video for later on. Probably around like 11 or something. Just because right after this, because I want to do the timestamps, whatever, and so I'm gonna go take a shower right after this, and then I have somewhere to go. I gotta go now. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you guys for sticking around. And tell me what you guys think. If you think I'm dumb for my picks, if you like them, if you think I'm the best predictor on YouTube, we'll see. But yeah, let's go. You're Prochazka and Prochazka. Bye.